welcome everybody to the sadly final meeting for Group A for the PCT boot camp. It's always sad when this day arrives, and it feels so far away, and it eventually slowly creeps up on us. So yeah, it's a bummer. I will miss this group. It sounds cliche, but the groups are always great. In a way, they feel like they get better every time because. I don't know. I guess it's just the people you know in the moment. But you guys have been a fantastic group, very helpful to each other, which is great. The meetings they've really been the best meetings. Dima and I get better at running them and finding ways to kind of get the groups involved. If you saw the first boot camp, it was a lot less group participation, and now we've gotten better at, I've actually learned that people want to share more than I ever kind of imagined, and it's great. It's been so nice to have people help other traders out with their ideas and their experiences. And the people that are here today, you guys are, a lot of this is the core group of people who have been in the meetings throughout, and I love that. And some people can't attend them, and I understand that. Some people watch them later due to time zone issues or work issues, family issues. But for those of you who come, week to week and are able to make it here, especially people like Micah who are dialing in from the tough time zones, I really do appreciate it.
Welcome.
and for all,
it's the only time you can see each other face to face, so I appreciate being here.
Yeah, at least the kids are asleep, I assume.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
They are.
My kids are.
Ricardo is also staying up late.
Yeah.
We are the crazy Europeans.
Yeah.
We decided to do a traineeship with another continent's time zone.
Yeah.
My kids stay up later than me now, and I really miss the days when 7:30 was bedtime. Those were good times.
Yeah.
It's long.
You at least have your evening to yourself.
I know, and I don't have that anymore.
No.
So, hey, more family time. For the dashboard, a few events left. Our closeout meeting is Monday next week, 7 p.m. On the 11th, and so that'll be me and Peter and Eamon and Susan and Dima and Norm, and hopefully Andrew will check on his travel schedule, but hopefully he'll be there as well. And then Mike has one more trade book meeting, trading tennis record of what you believe, and then the last day of trading will be next week on the 14th. Last day of PCT Sim Boot Camp trading anyway. Here's our roadmap. No surprise. I mean, I checked off everything at this point, so I think, we're definitely here well at the end of the execute phase, and what we have left is to continue trading. And what I want to talk a lot about today is continuing trading and where you take it from here. And if you guys would like to talk about anything else during this meeting, please let me know, and if it's at the end, that's fine too, or any time during the meeting.
John, the access to the education center is done on the 14th as well, right?
Well, actually, I want to discuss that, but
sounds good.
Yeah, I've got a note on that coming up. If you'd like to be considered for PCT, like a seat with PCT, let me know your intent, please. So, I'll need your trade book no later than April 14th, the last day. So if everybody's welcome to send their final trade book to me, Dima, Susan, etc. For one final look-see. But if you want to be considered for a seat with PCT, please let me know in the email. It just makes it easier for me. Some people have no intention or no desire, and it just helps narrow down the potential candidates easier, faster, so we can kind of concentrate more on the people who have that kind of interest. I will contact potential candidates no later than 5 p.m. on April 20th. And what potential candidate means is I submit some names to Andrew and Norm every boot camp, and they are free to do whatever they want at that point. I'm just a feeder, a suggester, not a decision maker by any means. But by that time, I will have sent the names up. And what I'll generally do is at 5 o'clock on the 20th, I'll send out an email saying, hey, I let Norm and Andrew know what the names are, and if you didn't hear from me, then your name was not one of the names. Please send your trade book in PDF format if you can. It makes it a bit easier for me, but the number one reason is if you make it a PDF, we're both seeing the same thing for sure. Some people send like a Word document. I open it up in Google Docs, and sometimes images get moved around and messed up, or vice versa. So if you put it into a PDF format, then that's generally what you're seeing is what I'm seeing on my end. And important note at the end here: please include any other material that you think describes you as a trader. So journals, Excel tools, it could be your data set, it could be an analysis of your data set. Some people have other Excel tools they made for entirely different things, like how I partial Excel tools. Things like that all tell a story about your commitment to trading and understanding your performance and trying to get better. So if you have anything like that, definitely send that along as well. A little explanation is helpful, in the email, that, hey, this file name is this item I use, and I use it for this purpose. And yeah, that would be great. So let me know if there's any questions with regard to this. Pretty easy process. Some other notes. To my surprise, Thor had a class last night. So not too many. Well, he had an okay audience, I guess, but it wasn't on the schedule, and I apologize for that. I did not see that one coming. So I just happened to be in my office, and I heard this voice coming over my headphones that I was not wearing. And I was like, who the hell is talking? And it was Thor doing a class. Thor is easy to hear over headphones you're not even wearing. So it's been posted, and it's available now. And actually, Thor's classes, they're so good. I mean, they're almost better to watch sometimes in review. You don't get to ask the questions live, but you get to go back and listen to what he said a few times. Rewind it. So this goes to Dima's comment. Email me if you would like extended website access. And I understand this access could be as long as 6 months. And otherwise it gets cut off on April 14th. So Norm is generously offered to do that. It's a bit of work for him, but he can do it. So I'll put this out in an email as well. It's not fair to only say it to the people who attended the meeting or might go back and watch this, but I'll put it out an email about this as well. But just let me know. Via email is the best, just because I get an easy record of I sometimes miss Slack messages, it seems, so that they get sort of buried. So send me an email back if you'd like that extended access to the material. Walt, I don't know if he's here today, but is Walt here? I don't think so. Wait, yes he is. Walt has generously agreed to start a Discord for bootcamp members from this bootcamp to meet up in the future. And it may be, I think he said it might be kind of ABCD centric at first. He's kind of starting from there, but really it's for anybody. And let's face it, you can gather in a group to discuss a strategy, but 80% of trading's psychology anyway, right? So like it's good to talk psychology with people as well. So, or risk management procedures and things like that, which might be pertinent to any kind of strategy. So if you'd like to be a part of that, let me drop the Discord link into the, into the chat right here, along with Walt's email address.
Yeah, John, thank you. I put the, I'm new at Discord, but I went in there and created a few channels, and I basically added ORB and reversal and VWAP and high up daybreak and whatever you want.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Let's bring them all in. Thanks.
Yeah, brave of you to just jump into the world of Discord. I understand it's not too difficult. I've used it myself, but only as a user.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's a wonderful tool. I mean, it's amazing what we have access to this day and age.
I know. I was thinking about it, like, wow, it's just amazing power to connect with other folks in so many ways.
It really is, and I say it's free. I guess we're all selling our data to the devil or whatever, but it's free. We'll all pay for it later when the world collapses.
Except what it costs you. Yes, right.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Walt. So yeah, the link for the Discord and Walt's email, if you have any questions, are in the chat there. Susan will accept trade books for review, even if you have not submitted one at this point. And really any point, between now and the next boot camp, or I don't want you guys to inundate Susan too much in the future, but she is such a nice lady. And you could probably send her a trade book 6 months from now and say, hey, what do you think about these changes they made? She might even help you out. I'm always available as well. I mean, I should make this point in this last meeting. I have people from former boot camps reach out to me, and I still help people if I can, or just some people just want to show progress. and talk about where they've been. So please, especially if you haven't done the trade book at all, don't be afraid to start it late. Or if you just kind of have not committed to the process as much as you wanted to, it's never too late to start that process. Never, ever, ever, ever. And Susan's always there to help. And I will put this out in an email as well, the same email about the website access. But email me if you'd like to talk to me and Dima for another one-on-one session at the end of boot camp here to talk about, kind of the exit assessment. Where we think you're at and what you're doing well, what you might be able to improve, and what's the best path forward for the future. Definitely would love to have this conversation. So just let me know. Let me know via email, and then like last time, Dima and I will kind of divvy people up. So yeah, but I'll send all this information in an email. That just makes sense. This whole slide here, some good stuff. I want to make sure everyone knows. So yeah, some notes along the trade book train of thought. Take advantage of these last days of boot camp, because a lot of you who have done a really good job in boot camp have treated this as like with a student mindset. Like this has been like not a full semester, but obviously 90 days, but like a semester class kind of, And while you have that mindset, it's a good time to make those final adjustments for now. Anyway, the trade book's never done, but to get into your trade book one last time. Because once boot camp's over, you're going to fill the void of boot camp with other things in your life, potentially, and as you should, right? The time you've committed to this, maybe that becomes, trading assessment time for you in the future, or maybe it becomes devoted to other things. But while you're kind of in the mindset of boot camp, think about giving that trade book one last going over. Try to complete all the sections. If you've been gathering data throughout this process, go back and look at it one last time. See if you can glean some insights about some tweaks you want to make, or some things you want to experiment with in the future to make your strategy perhaps more effective. And as always, my number one comment for people about trade books is apply appropriate detail, especially in your strategy section. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times in our trade books, I'm guilty of this as well. I don't, guilty is not the right word. It's just the way it comes out sometimes. We tend to use vague sort of comments like, enter on high volume, or whatever. I don't know. Enter on bounce of, Camarilla pivot. And we don't define like what high volume is, or what counts as a bounce, like how much price has to be within a level before you take a reversal, etc. So it's always good to think about any comment you make in your trade book. Think about, can you apply a little more detail to make it a bit more specific about what exactly you mean? Because that's a good mental exercise to go through and do that and think like, am I kind of being purposely vague because I don't really know, or is this a place where I do need to gather more data so I can make the comment more specific? Or sometimes you can't really add much more detail to it. It's okay for things to remain vague in your trade book. I have things in my trade book that still look kind of vague. I can't explain them. They fall more on the intuition side, or I can't exactly explain this, but I know I want to have it here, but I'm not able at this time, or maybe ever, to apply the necessary, or not the necessary, but more detail that like a reader might be curious about if they were looking at it. And with that idea in mind, someone else reading it, it's a great exercise to share your trade book with another trader, and this could be something you do. You could ask somebody else in the boot camp if they would read your trade book and just give you some thoughts about what they think. And a good way to go about that is to share your trade book and say, could you highlight sections you're unclear about, where you don't understand it, and maybe just add a couple notes. Because generally speaking, if someone else can take your trade book and actually execute trades using it, that's a really good sign. It is well written. There's generally appropriate detail for all the sections and all the little nuances of entries and execution and things like that. So Susan's obviously been checking them out for people throughout this process, and that's been one kind of set of eyeballs. But maybe share it just with another trader. If you are an ABCD trader and you know another one, maybe share it with them, or even someone outside your strategy entirely. But you'll get some. It's like giving something to an editor for the first time. You'll get back feedback you never even thought of. It can be really great. I wanted to go over this email I got from someone in the last boot camp because I think it's a really interesting place where this person ended up, and I think a lot of people are probably on the cusp of having a similar kind of experience. So this person said, the past year has been an absolute roller coaster. I came to Bearable Traders with about 4 months of sim and live trading experience that had done nothing but slowly drain funds from my account. I had no idea why until BBT started to teach me why. I enrolled in the PCT bootcamp and had a great experience there. Frankly, I traded like garbage for those 3 months, but the lessons I took from the bootcamp experience and the foundation it gave me were critically important. Nevertheless, the doubt lingered. My trading seemed stuck and going nowhere. And I was trying to apply the education I was receiving and still felt lost most of the time. But the honesty and encouragement of the BBT community gave me resiliency and reason to stick with it. So in early October, this is after this is 2 boot camps ago. I take it back. So in early October, this is after boot camp, I finally had a moment, and it was on a point so basic and one repeated by the moderators frequently. I needed to stop trying to trade like everyone else and find what works for me. I heard it, I knew it, but I hadn't really absorbed it. So I did, taking concepts I had learned from Peter, John, Jared, Eamon, and Thor, and I just started trading with what felt right to me. And that shift has made all the difference. Nothing too flashy or to tweet about, but I have found consistency, a steadily rising P&L curve, and having recovered all prior losses, I can finally call myself a profitable trader. This is a common kind of journey, to be honest. I think if you feel like you're at the end of PCT and you haven't quite found that profitable footing, you are in common company, I guess. You know, a lot of people are kind of feel like they've absorbed a lot of knowledge, but they haven't quite made the turn yet. And where it comes, almost always, is this feeling that like I needed to stop trying to trade like everyone else and find what works for me. That's usually the turning point for people. There's something to learn from everybody, but eventually you have to find that change in your strategy that makes it yours. It could be many things. I mean, that kind of do that, but I don't know anyone that's really successful in trading that says I took Eamon's blank strategy and that's what I'm trading. And it's usually not the case. I shouldn't say I never. I mean, there could be people like that, but all the people I've worked with and hundreds of people that have come through boot camp, the ones that have kind of figured it out are trading something unique to them. It kind of looks like something else. It has elements of someone else's strategy, but really they made it into their own thing that they wanted to make work according to their psychology and other like personal attributes. So, yeah, so I thought this was kind of cool. I talked to this guy, months after he was still doing pretty good. We haven't talked in a little while. But I think it's an encouraging email. And I think if you are feeling the kind of like, I feel stuck, the moment could be right around the corner. Just gotta keep trying to make it your own. And you can make that moment come. And kind of continuing that idea, we talked about in the beginning of boot camp, there was this paradox for when you are kind of done looking for a strategy and then trading that strategy and refining that thing that you've locked into. So we talked about, boot camp has a distinct start and a distinct finish. And this symbol represents the trade book. And somewhere along the line, I said, it's best during this process if you stop exploring for a strategy and just pick one and use, whether it works, profitably or not for you in the end, to gather data on it and use that as a point from which to pivot from or to develop further. But bootcamp was interesting in that it does have a start and it does have a finish. And therefore, it does give you this paradox of like, when do I lock into something? because my suggestion was don't be at the finish line still exploring like 5 different strategies or 3 different, even if it's just with a month or 3 weeks left, pick one and carry that one to the finish, because you have to understand what it is like to develop a strategy, not just to bounce from one to another. But now we're leaving boot camp and we're moving into a different world, which doesn't have a finish line. And hopefully it follows a road that ends to dollar signs. That's why 99.5% of us are trading. The other 0.5% just love doing this and have money to throw away. But most of us want to make some cash. So it's different in that you don't have this paradox where John is telling you like just pick something by the end, and kind of grind on that as best you can. You can keep going along. I have Bearable Traders icons here because a lot of people are Bearable Traders members. So you might stop thinking of your trade book as being your PCT trade book and more like your BBT trade book. But you can take the logo out and put your face there, and that just could be your trade book if you're not going down the Bearable Traders path after this. But expect to go through some iterations. I mean, expect to fully, possibly, dump a trade book. And just move on to something else. That's possible. That's an unfortunate pivot, you might have to make sometimes. But if it's what you got to do, it's what you got to do. And again, we've talked about this. You don't lose everything when you leave a strategy behind. If you're trying to make 1-minute ORBs work out, and it just is not working, and you're going to hard pivot to like, I'm going to take ABCD trades and I'm going to wait 15 minutes. I'm going to get away from this open. That may seem like a really big pivot, but you're going to take a lot of knowledge from your 1-minute ORBs into the next strategy, for sure. Like 100%. And I know this, looking at, just talking to other traders all the time about the things that they look for in a trade and how they enter and how they execute. And I so many times can look at someone else's method and say, I do that as well. Oh, but I don't do those 3 other things, but I do that thing. It's a common element of our strategies that we both learned and know to be true. But for me, it works in one way, and for someone else, it works for a different time of day and a different pace of trading, etc. But this is the new journey, and embrace it, and don't be afraid to hard pivot. Don't be afraid to grind on a strategy for a long time. Only you can answer the question of stick with something, move on to something else, or whatever the journey is going to be. But it takes time. And we'll talk about that here in a second as well. But don't feel like coming out of boot camp like you should be, ready to quit your day job and make $500 a day if you're not quite there yet. But know that you've probably cut down on the time involved in this process. We talked a little bit about this, kind of doing some review here. Kind of the tiers of discipline idea. As you go through this journey of trying this trade book, and then this trade book evolves into this trade book, and this trade book hard pivots to this trade book, just to make sure as you go through this journey that you are trading in your trade book. That's these 3 green blocks here, the kind of tier 2, 3, and 4 of trading. It's the trading outside your trade book that's going to make you very frustrated. It's never going to make you any money, and you're just going to swim in circles and probably lose money over time. You will do yourself huge favors, no matter where you are in your journey, that you are trading inside the trade book, that all the trades you take are the trades you mean to take. So me today, I took 5 trades. They were all high day break trades, and I'm surprised I got 5 of them today, to be honest. But there were other opportunities. There 100% were. I saw stocks moving all the time, and like I said, after those minutes came out, I wasn't there when they were released. When I came back to my desk, I was like, "Oh, volatility's back. We definitely got some movements in stocks." And no matter what I saw, I have to remind myself, none of that's for me. I don't have a high probability setup in anything except what I'm committed to at the moment. That's where success lies for me, and I just have to remember that. It's not that hard for me anymore. Most of my discipline problems are not trading outside my trade book. My discipline problems are more tier 2 and 3. Like, yeah, it's a high day break, but it's kind of a piece of junk. I mean, that still happens to me. And, you know, in tier 3, like, yeah, it's a high day break, but it's got some good elements and some bad elements. And, I don't know. But it's a lot easier to stay alive for me when this is my problem. Even on a bad setup, I'll get in and I'm like, all right, John, why did you do this? You know, and I'll recognize very quickly this is kind of a garbagey high day setup, and like, you know, let's take the small loss or just get out near break even. I'm funny that way. Very, very guilty of tier 2 and 3 foul ups, but I swear to you, I'm alive today because I'm fighting this discipline problem and not this one. And when I started trading, I was 100%. You guys have heard the story. I mean, I was here. Everyone's here in the beginning. Oftentimes because you don't have a trade book. But then even when people are trying to work on one and try to identify like their persona as a trader, you know, I'm a reversal trader. That's what I do. You know, I'm gathering information on reversals, and I'm analyzing my reversals every day. And then you look at their trades and it's like, there's a couple of reversals here, but there's sure is a lot of other shit going on in your trading day. You know, like what's that all about? You know, and that's often where they're losing the money. So no matter where you are in the journey, just be in here and you'll be much safer. Obviously we want to be up here, but I'm a realist and I understand, you know, a good trader is probably between 3 and 4 a lot, and hopefully more in 4. And even, you know, I'm pretty good at ignoring the 2s. But if you go through my worst trades of the day, you just scroll up through the Slack channel and look at John's worst trades, and it's like you'll see the ones where something else about the market got in my head and made me take a setup that was pretty poor. So once you are trading inside your trade book and being disciplined in that regard, you got to think about now, like, are you making money and how are you making money? Because again, we all want to make money, right? You want to have an equity curve that someone would look at and say, I can identify some consistency there. And because if anybody can do that kind of like in a quick eyeball assessment, you're in a really good place. So you take a look at these 2 equity curves. These are 2 traders from the current boot camp that are both green. But these 2 equity curves for the camp tell a very different story. And this one is very choppy. It's up, it's down, it's big, it's small, you know, it's all over the place. It happens to end on the green side. I didn't put the axes for exactly how green these are, but this is a hell of a ride. It's going to green to red and up and down. This one shows a lot more consistency, especially from this point going up to here. And this trader actually had a bad day recently, and I watched this day to day because I was very curious what the possible recovery would look like, and it looked exactly like I want to see. Because I always tell people, oh, I forgot I have a magic pen now. Let's rock and roll this thing. If you have an equity curve that's kind of going up nicely, slowly, day to day, and then you bite it, and you have a day of indiscipline and hulking out or whatever it is, and you lose like a lot, like say, you know, this could be 30 days of trading from day 0 to day 30. You know, that'd be great over 30 days to just slowly grind up. But if you bite it and you give back half of everything you made in 30 days, what people often want to do is they want to correct that. They want to say they're sorry. You know, go kneel at the foot of your bed and pray to the gods of trading and say, I'm sorry I did that. That was dumb. I just want to get back to where I was. And then I just want to continue on my path. I'll be good in the future. And if it took you 30 days to make this much money responsibly from here to here, and you lost half of it in a day, what's the chance you can make up 15 days of gains like the next day or over the next couple of days? It doesn't make any sense. But everyone tries to do it, and it's the wrong answer. So what you want to see is that slow gain over the 30 days, you know, the big drop off where you give half of it back, and then you want to see this. And you'll get back to where you were here, if this is day 30, and that was 0, maybe at day 60. Well, actually, if you lost 15 days, maybe day 45, you know what I mean? But it should take some time to get back this loss. That's the way you want to get it back. And that's exactly what this trader did here. You know, sizable loss given the gains that they had gotten over a number of days, and then got it back. And now they're back above where they were. And that's exactly how you want to do it. So, yeah, my point in this is the best way. I'm a big proponent of, people talk about red days and green days, and they talk about win rates and things like that. The one statistic that really tells the tale of how you were trading is, what is your average gain over time? And is it a fairly consistent amount? And do you have an equity curve that someone would eyeball very quickly and say, oh, look at this. That's not by chance. That seems like it's kind of gaining a similar amount every day over time, and putting together a lot of green and less red. So with that in mind, kind of an idea of the picture of how we want to make money, what that'll hopefully look like in the future. There's the question of, should you really be making money yet? And it depends where you're at in your trading journey, whether you should have that expectation. But if you're like within your first year of trading, you really shouldn't have much of an expectation of being able to produce an equity curve like that. Again, hopefully boot camp will shorten that time and kind of compress some of your education into a smaller amount. But everybody's going to find that point at a different time. It may take some people 9 months, it may take some people 18 months, and it may take some people 5 or 6 years. And if you're Susan, our trade book Susan, was actually given a nice little session today in the Variable Traders chat room, and she was talking about comparing yourselves to others. It's something you generally shouldn't do. Now, you want to have an idea, like, I'm trying day trading. Does this take 30 years or 30 days? I mean, that's a fair question, right? But you have to understand, you're gonna find your pivot and your consistency at different points in time. Just different traders are. And I have a couple examples here of people during this boot camp. We can look at the last chart as well. This person started off not so hot, found a very clear pivot this is a distinct pivot in performance. Very, very cool to see, and obviously found their way to profitability. But more common ones tend to look a little messier. But this trader started out up and then down, got all the way back to where they started, and then I'd say there's a clear performance change here for sure. It's a bit choppy in places, but it's not bad. And you have this one as well. This one just clearly down until more than halfway through boot camp. And then you have a clear change in performance. Kind of an interesting one. It's up and down, up, down, up a bit down, but the ups are beating out the downs. And apparently last day, I guess this is just the last day, unfortunately gave some back. But again, I hope that this trader corrects this looking like that and not trying to do the other thing that's usually just not gonna work. And when you give it back big time, you got to get it back small time. That's the way to go. But a possible timeline for future performance could look something like, months 1 to 6 is a lot of, like, you shouldn't know anything in your first 1 to 6 months. I mean, that's just going to be drinking from the fire hose and being confused. A lot of, what do these buttons do? You're going to mirror trade people for sure. We all did that. Trade too big, absolutely. Not understand size. Ideas of others a lot, like mirror trading. Maybe not. Mirror trading is really trying to follow someone in real time, but you probably try other people's ideas a lot, which is fine. But should totally expect to lose money in months 1 to 6, and then months 7 to 12 is perhaps where you pick a strategy or a few and say like, all right, everyone seems to have their thing. I need to have my thing. So you pick something or a couple of things to work on. Probably still trading too big. Maybe not committed to the journaling idea fully. You know, it's a pain. I don't want to do that. I find it interesting, but you know, not for me. People will still trade the ideas of others, even though you're trying to focus on a strategy or a few. You'll be sucked into other people's ideas all the time because they'll call something out in the chat room, and you'll find it too alluring. And you should still expect to be losing money in the first year, and then getting into your second year. Often people start to feel the pinch at some point when the account starts to hurt. When you've lost enough money that it's not funny anymore, you know. If you're an American, you might be creeping up on that $25,000 line, perhaps if you're trading a big enough account, you know, to beat the pattern day trader rule. But at some point, most people will feel the actual money hurt will start to sink in, and that'll start to be problematic. And that might drive to more of a strategy focus, probably reduced trading of other people's ideas, probably less trading too big. People stop doing that as much and, you know, start to scale down. Like, I can't keep doing this or I'm going to be out of the game. My wife's going to tell me to stop. And combining some of these ideas of, you know, reduced trading of other people's ideas, trading more of your idea, maybe starting to journal, you might be able to find in here that you lose less. Like, these are hard losing months, but this is, you know, just with the reduction in size. That's what I did when I started trading. You just said, I'm not risking hundreds of dollars per trade. I'm risking $20 per trade. Obviously, it's just much easier to lose less doing that. But perhaps even finding your break-even life around here. And then maybe by, you know, the end of the second year, you're starting to pull out some insight from your journaling. You start to be proud of this idea that you started to craft back here, because you become like the guy in the email. Like, I have my own idea. I created my own thing. And that pride to want to make that thing of yours work out is very powerful. You'll start to want your trade book and not someone else's. You'll really ditch on this trading other ideas a lot, still trading the ideas of others, reduced trading of others' ideas. You'll reach a point where you don't really want to trade other people's stuff, because you'll start to have more faith in your own performance, and you'll want more and more to make your idea work. You want to prove to the world and yourself that this thing you created works just fine. And hopefully around there is your trading break even, or you begin your equity curve pivot. I think this is a very possible, believable timeline. And I especially think with the education, you know, provided here in boot camp, if you take these ideas seriously and remember them and go back and revisit them and get rid of as much of the stupid as you can. I mean, that's just a lot of what is wrong with people in trading. It's just, you know, we get stupid. We do dumb things. And you just got to get that stuff out of your life, and hopefully, you know, down the road, what you get mad about for being stupid is such a smaller thing than what you used to get mad about being stupid. Like the day I got mad at myself for blowing up on Snap, the ticker Snapchat. I mean, I was really mad at myself that day, and I just completely lost my mind and blew up and hulked out on it. Now, today, I'm kind of mad at myself that, like, I don't know, man. Like, I was green on GameStop, but I should have maybe waited for something a little more tame, you know, or been a little bit more patient. Like, that is a gigantic difference between losing thousands of dollars on Snapchat and being kind of peeved at myself during the day that I took a ticker on a completely legit setup that just, I don't know, it's kind of the risky ticker. I'm not sure I should have done that. That's where you want to get to eventually. Let that be the reason you get mad at yourself. It's this tiny little thing in your trade book. You're like, man, that could have been better. But yeah, keep this in mind. I mean, this is the real truth. There's no 30 days or 90 days to riches. It's a longer journey. this is my culmination of my third year of full-time trading, and I'm very happy with 2022 because I've been more disciplined than ever. And I was pretty disciplined in 2020 with regard to sticking to my strategy, but I didn't really have it figured out yet. In 2021 more so, I had it much more figured out and stuck to it and was pretty good. But like this year, I've just been kind of like, pardon my French, but this year has really been my like, fuck it. Like I'm going to trade this strategy. I'm not disobeying my stops at all. Like I'm just going to do this thing every day and try to be patient and only trade my thing. And it's led to like a really nice consistency that you can see this line fit. This is like a trade to trade chart for performance, not day to day, but trade to trade. And so I've taken 209 trades this year. And when I'm very, very disciplined and very, very patient and stick to what I know that I can do, it really results in like a surprisingly steady growth, which is really cool to see. I don't know if you know what the statistic R square is, but the R square for this red line to this blue data is 0.96, and it's really high. So I mean, what it says is, you know, this is a pretty steady growth, pretty damn near linear. And what that does, it allows me to have faith in myself and know that like if this is what I can do under the most disciplined, strictest, just about. I mean, there's always more room for more discipline. But in a year where I really committed and said like the hell with this, like I am just like I need to know like if I can scale up comfortably. Like if this is the result, then I know that yes, this does tend to suggest or does suggest that I should be able to scale up into this strategy. And maybe at a certain point, I've gotten about as much as I can get out of it in terms of profit, like price movement. But I should be able to comfortably scale up my risk, which is an option. It'd be nice to say, like, for the rest of my trading life, I'll never risk more than X amount per trade. But what I'm finding is that I should be able to double that. And, you know, as my account grows and thus double what this line produces as well. So that's where I'm curious to get to. You know, again, this is as straight as I've ever got the data to look. So if I can keep doing this, then I'll have the confidence to do that kind of scaling up if I can't squeeze more out of the strategy by itself.
John, that's an amazing equity curve. Wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks, Dima. Yeah, there's places in here you just have to keep your faith. I mean, there are flat spots in here, right? I mean, you look from here to here, there's not a lot of growth and there's a lot of up and down, you know, and I'd have to go back and see what dates those were, what exactly I was fighting through, which is probably just myself. I don't think it had anything to do with the market because, I mean, the beginning of this curve is all like bear market stuff. The first third is all the market giant sell-off, and and then this portion was the recent market buyback where you can see the curve takes a nice curve upward. So does it make sense that higher days like perform better when the market's ripping? Yeah, I mean, kind of expect that. So a little bit of evidence that that's true there, and it's a little more jerky in the beginning. So maybe that bear market does have its effect as well. But yeah, it's just. I really reached a point where like I really stopped caring about the money as much, and it was very powerful. And I just knew like I was like this. I have to trust in this process because I do eventually want to scale up and make this a bigger thing, and it's really hard to do to say I don't care about the money, but if you can get there. I think it can kind of be a game changer attitude to just focus more on being proud of yourself day to day and not the money you made, but how you executed the process. And like yesterday was a red day and I didn't want to eat that up, you know. There's always a part of you that's like, oh man, I'll just stick around my desk and I'll find something by 4 o'clock to kind of undo this. But then I was thinking back, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with what's going on this year. You know, I don't have to do that. There has to be red days, and I just got to take those. You know, so yeah, again, just a trust in the process, and so. I mean, I'm kind of just telling the same story here, guys, but just well, let's finish it up here. I mean, a lot of what I'm talking about tonight is trade your strategy. Whether we're talking about the email from that trader, whether we're talking about the tiers of discipline and being in the tiers 2, 3, and 4, and not in tier 1 where you're not trading your trade book, whether we're talking about continual refinement of your trade book, a lot of what I'm saying is trade your strategy and build it and grind it out and develop it. And don't take insight from other people, but don't worry about what they're making. Don't worry about how many days in a row some other trader was green. You're going to see stuff everywhere. I see it all the time. You know, like, I mean, shit, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at trading. Some trader that's like with Bearable Traders posted this thing on Twitter recently, like, here's my month. And it was like all green days pretty much, except for like 2 red or something. I was like, Jesus, like, that must be nice. You know, like, well, what's this guy doing? You know, like, should I dump it all and do it, you know? I'm like, no, let it go, John. You know, like, yeah, you got to be happy with what you're doing. It's going to be about you in the end anyway. You're not going to just mimic somebody into success. You can take information from them and you can adapt it, your idea, but you got to trade your strategy. You got to. And, you know, well, let's just go down the list here. Risk reward, don't forget that. Again, forget about the money. Trade small until you're producing something that looks more like that, or like this, or like this, or like this. When you start to see that kind of thing, then, you know, risk more and see if you can maintain that. But if you can't produce those kind of curves with $10 risk per trade, then there's no reason to risk 20. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. And I understand why people want to do that. You know, you can like responsibly risk. I'll do this $10 risk per trade thing. You do it for 6 months. You're like, shit, all I did was, you know, lose $500. You know, like, I can make that back right now on BTAI, which is ripping today. You know what I mean? I buy 1,000 shares of this stupid stock. It goes up 50 cents, and I just made up 6 months of losses. Like, that's worrying about the money and not the process, because that could happen. That could very well happen on a volatile stock. You could buy 1,000 shares, you can ride it out until you're up 50 cents, and then you've recovered $500 that you lost over 6 months of trading $10 risk per trade. You've proven nothing to yourself, because that's not a sustainable strategy. You can go try to repeat that the next day, and you'll go lose that $500 again, and then you'll lose $500 more, and you'll lose $500 more, and in a week you've lost $1,500, whereas over 6 months you lost $500 trading $10 per risk trying to learn properly. So there's no free lunch. There's no quick path. You use proper risk and reward, and use proper size according to your account and where you're at in your learning process. I'm happy to say I think really this has been one of the better boot camps for people who obey their stops, and that's great. And that's been big for me. It's one of my big demons, is to kind of let those go sometimes more than I should. And for 2022, I've been like, no, not doing it. I'm just not doing it. And then I'm telling you, like, when I started to see more results like this, I'm like, God, this feels good. You know what I mean? Like, almost happy to take the loss when I get stopped out, and, you know, all right, that's part of the process. That's good. That's what's supposed to happen. We just lost $100, but we didn't lose $800. Like, that's nice. Like, we can go get this back. So I think we've done great there. Don't overtrade. This is always a question of what does overtrading mean and how many trades is okay. This is something you got to figure out as you develop your strategy. But I think you'll find over time you have to trade a lot less than you think you do. And I know personally I have traded less and less as months and months have gone by, and I never took that many trades. But there were days in 2021 I had in the teens for trades, 14, 15 trades. That is not even close. I don't think I've taken more than 7 in a day in 2021, and I think or 2022, and my average I think would be between 3 and 4, almost certainly. and I've committed more personally to the time of day that works better for me, and that's been a function of what I have to do for the rest of my days often. But that's been a good thing as well. That helps with over trading too. It's just moving on to other things. But whatever you start to find is about the right number of trades, or what's a responsible number for your trades for your strategy. Know that over time you can probably reduce it even further. You know that as a team, especially with Dima and I being in Group A, we're big data people and we're big believers in collect that data. Spreadsheets often are a great way to do it, and look at what it's telling you. Go back and analyze it. Simple analysis, just time of day kind of stuff, or RVOL. You know, does this matter for me? Or the price of the stock. Am I better with different price stocks? Just those little insights can be great, and you can obviously do more advanced analysis as you get. You may not know how to do it now, but analyzing data is not about knowing how to do it. It's about asking a question, and then kind of going to be like, all right, that's the question I have. How do I use these numbers to like answer that question, whether that's a yes or a no? And you'll be surprised if you ask a question you really want to know the answer to. You'll get creative, and you'll figure out how to use that information to help inform your decision or inform the answer to that question. So stick with it. I think it's a great thing to do. Again, it always takes time to do, and that's a helpful thing for me. Had 5 trades today. That's not too bad, but it is work to go back and gather spreadsheet information on those 5 trades, and I don't want to do it for 10. It just, that does weigh on my mind. So the more you punish yourself with your journaling, and the more you stick to it, and make it a part of the process and a part of your everyday routine, it's going to help with this, the D here, the don't overtrade. And then there's no better way to wrap everything up than remembering that 80% of trading is mental. From to obeying the idea of trading your strategy, to not getting in too big, to obeying your stop, to not over trading it. Not so much this last one here, but these first 4. I mean, they all speak to the mentality, the psychology of trading, and it's the thing. You are the thing that has to be overcome. It's again, to start off where we started in the beginning. It's not the market makers, and it's not the algorithms. Those things could, from day to day, play with your trading a little bit. Maybe it stops you out at some point that really pisses you off or whatever. But that's not the problem. The problem is getting pissed out at being stopped out to the penny and jumping back into a trade. It's like, I knew that trade was good. I'm getting right back in. You know what I mean? And then finding yourself get chopped up. Now you don't have an algorithm problem or a market maker problem. That's you are the problem, because you got mad and you're getting back into the trade, or there's nothing to trade today. Yeah, that could be me. I'm looking for high day breaks and the damn market's selling off. There's nothing near its high of day. The only way to make money today is some other idea, which I suck at. So let me try. let me try the thing I suck at. There's no pickup of basketball games, which I'm really good at. No one at the park wants to play pickup basketball. I'll challenge this guy to fucking badminton, or you know what I mean? Like, where's that going? Do you know how to play badminton? No, I do not. So, yeah, that's a common thing I deal with every day. Just it's not fun being a moderator in a chat room when there's nothing to trade. And people are looking, waiting. Does this guy trade anything? You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh. The market's down, and I don't think anything's going back to its high day. So you're not going to see this guy trade anything. And I guess let that be a certain kind of lesson to you. But I know it's more exciting to see, triangles on the screen. But the lesson you're going to learn today is that I'm a very boring one-trick pony, and if it ain't happening, it ain't happening. And that's what I do. So yeah,
John.
Yeah, Dima, go ahead.
If I may psychoanalyze your equity curve, I think you've been doing the same thing technically for the last however. So it's not the technical that changed. The market hasn't changed. It's been volatile for the last 2 years. So I think what you said is you just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do my thing. So what switch is your mindset and your mental and your emotions and like this to me shows emotional management. Fear and greed doesn't exist anymore. You're just doing your thing.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you're making money. This is completely sound psychology when I look at the equity curve.
You are correct, Dima. The only thing I would say that changed technically in this year is that I stopped partialing, and that I think has led to better performance. It has definitely led to better performance for me. Not huge. It didn't double profit or anything like that. But that alone is a psychological change as well. It makes my trades kind of faster, and I don't have to stick around them as long. And I like fast trades. I like to. That's why I like trading momentum high a day things. They just let you know very quickly whether you're right or you're wrong. I'm not a good person to take an entry and then have something flutter around above my stop for half an hour because my mind drifts to other I just start to think about a million things about the trade and the market and whatnot. But yes, you're right. Yeah, it's there. Definitely a mentality change for 2022 to really worry less about money and trust in process, and then not so much on the technical side. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point, Dima, because here I am, year 3 of trading one single strategy essentially, and making a good psychological pivot, so to speak, that has really led to my best results so far. Yeah.
Tiffany talks about her 3rd year, something changed as well. And she just felt more consistent than before.
Tiffany?
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I've read a lot of books on trading, and a lot of them say this is a 3 to 5 year process. That seems to be a popular kind of time span they'll throw out there. This is a freaking exhausting endeavor sometimes mentally, and it's frustrating, and I do think a lot of people probably reach a point where, I guess, to repeat myself, it's like you want to be like, all right, does this fucking work or not? You know what I mean? Like, pardon my language, but like you just kind of want to know, like the hell, like I wanted to be. I wanted my first year of trading to result in $100,000 in profit. Okay, well that didn't happen, right? Quite the opposite or whatever. So, then your second year, you're kind of like, all right, maybe that was lofty, but let's make some money this year. You know what I mean? And then that doesn't happen. And then there's a maturity that does happen. It's almost like growing up all over again. I mean, think about your birth to like when you were a rational minded person. It takes like 20 something years before you fully pull your head out of your ass and you're like, all right, I need to stop doing dumb things, hanging around with bad people, spending money poorly, drinking too much, partying too much, or whatever. You start to shed things that are kind of toxic to you as you move on in your life, and that's a path most people take, and that's kind of day trading. This is, you have to shed the toxic things, whether which could be wanting to be as good as somebody else and wanting to make as much money and all those kinds of things. And I mean, that might be a pretty good analogy, because I think a lot of us have lived through that part of our life where you just kind of mature. And I think that happens as a trader as well. And somewhere along that line as well, if you are developing, it's not enough to just say, all right, year 3, I'm going to obey stops and stop trying to make this much a day and stop being like other people. Hopefully along those 3 years, you were developing an idea as well, because it's, to get to where you want to be, again, like the email from the guy says, you're going to have your idea. And so that's going to take, a year or so to work out as well. So hopefully, while you're being kind of stupid along the way, perhaps you are developing your idea as well, and you're kind of overlapping those things. But that's all I had. Dima, did you have? I didn't want to put you on the spot, but did you have anything for anybody, or does anyone else have a question or something they wanted to discuss here?
I have a quick question. I would like to keep the trader view account so many tags I don't want to recreate. Who should I talk to be able to keep using the trader view that I started using in PCT?
Somebody asked that question. I pointed out to Norm. Norm said to contact TraderView with your username, and they could make it happen.
Yeah. It was mentioned in the meeting with Peter last week as well, and that if you contact TraderView, they can set your account to your name, and it keeps the data. So
Awesome.
yeah, I had the same question.
Because there's a lot of data that I don't want to just throw to the bin.
Exactly.
And the tags that I don't want to recreate, or it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I had the same, and it would be nice to see that keep your equity curve and see how it progresses from now on.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can keep it, but you have to contact them.
Okay, I'll contact them, and if I find anything through any email, I will obviously share with the others.
Oh, thanks, Ricardo. Yeah, I thought Norm was able to do that somehow, but I was completely wrong. So his answer was to contact TraderView, like Mike has said.
In that same vein, John or Dima, what about, I have a DOS Trader Pro, but I have yet to trade with money in a regular account. I can contact DOS, and they're actually pretty good about getting back to you, but they do it by email, not by phone or whatever. But is there a way to save those settings, or is that you just have to start over with a new DOS if you're going to do a live, for dollars, or what, or directly with DOS, whether it's the simulator or not?
All you got to do is save your hotkey or your desktop file and your hotkey file, and then just load them in a new DOS account.
Oh, just don't delete what you have. So when you have a new DOS account, you're just going to go in. When you put your new account, it's actually going to be the exact same setup.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
And
I
you
just
can-
didn't delete it. And then when I go in.
I mean, the one I have now, though, is a simulator only. So I guess I have to download the one that has the simulator and the live trading, or and
Right.
the dollars trading.
Yeah, that might be tricky. But yeah, like John said, just save all your settings just in case. But when I went from that into the live one, I just put the new name, and everything was exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good.
If you go into your DOS, like for my DOS, live DOS, it's DOS Trader Pro. It's the name of the folder.
Yes, mine is.
In here, there is a. I have a number of hotkey files that I've messed around with. I think this is my current one. And then these are desktop files like default.desktop, moderator screen.desktop, PCT base layout.desktop. As long as if you take your desktop file from your simulator and drop it into the folder, the main folder for DOS, the DOS Trader Pro folder, it'll be available to load as a desktop. And similarly, it'll be available to load as a hotkey file as well.
Very good.
John, it was also suggested, I think you suggested at one time that you back that up on like a flash drive or something.
For sure.
You have several different.
Right.
I save them in the cloud somewhere. You can email them to me yourself. You can just email it to I can email it to my Gmail account, and I'll put some keywords in there like, DOS Trader Pro, desktop, hotkeys, and then I can just go on my Gmail and search for it. I oddly use my Gmail to save a lot of important files for myself. I just email them to myself with keywords, and then I'll go find them. But yeah,
I actually do that regularly. I do that about every couple of months or 3 months, because as I add things and remove things, like my charts, I also save the chart, so then I just load the chart as opposed to add all the different indicators that I want.
yeah, there's a chart file too, right?
Yeah, there is a chart. Something.
But I thought if you save your desktop, it saves the charts.
Yes,
It does.
yes.
Okay, yeah.
But it's the paranoia, because I'm not techie, so I save all these things,
Yeah.
and I save them on a regular basis that way.
But yeah, Tracy, whether it's Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, somewhere in the cloud, Apple Cloud, whatever, that's a great place to put your DOS desktop and hotkey files so that you can get them if your computer ever fries or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, I actually copy the whole folder once in a while.
Okay, yeah.
Just make a backup of the whole folder.
Yeah, why not? It's not a big folder, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what is this thing? That's bigger than I thought. It was like 2.5 gigs. You know, data's cheap, memory's cheap these days, so you can just back up the whole folder. Yeah, but I have had to recreate my DOS a couple times because I was being stupid and I wasn't keeping those files, and I wasn't when I was an inexperienced DOS user. I probably recreated it unnecessarily, but I had actually screenshots of what all my screens look like, and just spend a whole morning like putting all the charts back, and it totally sucks. Yeah, that's a good question.
Hey, John, just one quick question. I apologize. I wasn't on camera most of the time. I couldn't get out of work, but my plan is to basically go and sim trade for another 6 months. And then I want to take another boot camp, the next following boot camp, whatever's closest to that. We can do another boot camp,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have people come back all the time. I don't know what percentage. It's not that big, but we have people come back, and I think we have people come back the following boot camp sometimes, and I think that's maybe not the best thing to do. I think it's best to step away and go work by yourself for at least a boot camp period before you come back. So I think that's a pretty good plan, Tracy.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, because boot camp, it has to go fast to give us, sort of a foundation for everything. But I want to be able to go back and really address each individual part of my trade book and spend some time on it and really get good at it and address, my issues and my personality issues with everything, and just really come back prepared for the next boot camp. I think I can do much better at that point. So
nice. And I don't know where you were when you came to boot camp, Tracy, if you had a strategy right from the get-go. I can't remember, but if you come back for a second one, my recommendation is you come in day one with like, this is what I'm going to trade for this boot camp. It's going to be this strategy, and I'm going to grind this out for 90 days. Because as many of you are probably feeling right now, 90 days kind of feels like a lot when you start, but at the end, it's like, it's a little more than a blink of an eye in your trading career. So
yeah, it took me 3 months to figure out that I'm not an ABCD trader. I'm a reversal trader, because I looked through all my data and I'm like, most of them are reversals. So, now I have to go back and do that and just kind of redo my trade book. So it's not worth, looking at trading for peak capital at this point, but I do want to in the future. So if I can do another boot camp, that'd be awesome. So
yeah, of course, yeah. Welcome back, and just specify also next time if you do come back and you want to try the other group, let Norm know. We want to try Peter's group, or if you want to come back to mine. Who knows? There could be another group leader by then too. So who knows?
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and finally, if I can, I'll just leave a word of appreciation. It was really, really nice. These 3 months, it went really fast, as John just said, a blink of an eye, basically. And for someone completely new in trading like me, it's a solid foundation that I'm glad I could, or that I will be able to build upon. Basically, it's a marathon, definitely not a sprint. And thank you especially to John and Dim and to the others, but especially the two of you that had to put up with us at least once a week, face to face. It was really nice, and to the other traders that I met and that I wish to keep in touch in the future. Awesome to meet you, and please let's stay in touch. We can all grow helping each other further. I'm always available. I'm already on Walt's Discord. Thank you very much for the initiative. It was really cool. I appreciate it. I tend to use it a lot, so feel free to hit me up whenever. I'm giving the final touches to my own trade book. I'll share with you all. No problem whatsoever. The ABCD is a common strategy among new traders, I guess. If my insights can help you, awesome. Give me feedback as well. That would be pretty neat. And I'm also recapping every single video. I didn't knew that we might have the opportunity to use it for 6 months more. I'm building my little peak capital trading bootcamp manual that I will definitely share with you all as well, with the main lessons from every video, or at least the main lessons, or my main takeaways from each particular lesson. I don't know if it's not as complete as the videos, obviously, but I try to take a little bit out of each one. I will pass that onwards for you guys to check it out as well. And yeah, awesome to meet you, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Ricardo. Yeah, if most of the people here, again, it's kind of the crew that's been here a lot for these meetings. You know, Ricardo's been an awesome help for these meetings, a great participant, and I'm glad to hear that you are going to be in the Discord, because Ricardo's got a good passion for helping other people out, and it'd be awesome to have him join the group of people that are going to be in there. That's cool.
Yeah, John and Dima, thank you from Walter. I just say briefly, because there's a lot of people here, but I so many times you all said things, and I didn't realize I was already thinking that whatever you were talking about was only happening to me. And then you guys would say, "Oh, this happened." Oh, and I'd say, "Oh yeah, I thought it was just me," you know. Laugh about it a little bit. It's from its detachment. And then I had a nice one-on-one with Dima a couple of weeks ago, and that was very nice. And appreciate everybody's positive, helpful attitude as well. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Walt. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, John. Yeah, I'd like to pass along my thanks too. If you could have kept me from getting COVID when we started, I would have appreciated it a lot more. But so I just want to bring this up. This would probably be better for a one-on-one, and just real quick, but there may be some other people in my shoes. I had a strategy that I was profitable with before I started. So I started into boot camp to start a new strategy. And, I have good days and bad days. Do you have any general guidelines of when do you know that you need to go back to your old shoes that are broken in and comfortable?
Actually, that's a good question, Dwayne. And since I know you're a Bearable Traders Elite member, I'm pretty sure, I actually did a whole webinar on like how to know when to reset your trading life. So long answer, maybe go check that out. If you search from the site, John, probably just my name, you'll see one.
Yeah, I actually saw it live, but I could watch it again because you have some statistics in there as best I remember.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why you might reset, and so the whole presentation was kind of like this matrix of like, if you're this and you're this, then maybe yes, reset, and if you're this and you're this, then maybe not, and if you're this and you're this, then definitely not. So it was kind of a bit involved. I guess that's the way I think about things, but I think the key is not to give up too early, though. A lot of people
Right.
You've been in the trading business long enough to win, so I don't think that's your problem. That's not going to be an issue with you. But when you're new, people don't give a large enough data set to try to figure out if something does work or not. And sadly, you could be in something that totally is going to work for you, but you haven't figured out the 80% mentality thing, right? I guess you never know if anything works until you've pretty much conquered the 80% mentality thing, until you obey all your stops and until you wait for your targets and things like that. You don't really know if a strategy works or not. And I think a lot of people bail on things when it's not the strategy. It's like you're not applying the discipline. And actually Thor said recently in the room and over in the Bearable Trader side that you were probably there, Dwayne, when we were talking about this, but he was saying in trading, you could almost take coin flips for trades if you relentlessly obeyed your stop and held for high targets. Yeah. It's possible you could be profitable on that alone. And I was telling people in the chat room, I always wanted to say that, but I didn't have the guts to say it because I don't want to be responsible for people flipping coins. But it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Because we really have a couple problems as traders. A lot of people don't obey their stop, and that one's easy to fix in hindsight. When you finally fix that problem, you go back and you're looking like that was never that hard of a problem to fix. Just had to, have that discussion with myself and commit to that idea. But then holding out for like proper profits is the other side of the equation. Like you have to overcome. It's that whole math thing of like you can take 6 1R losses if you hold for 20R gains and that kind of thing. There's a million ways to skin the cat to make that math work out in your favor. But but that's a problem a lot of people have, is they haven't sorted through the mental aspects, and so if you are confident that you have done a good job of obeying stops and trying to obtain targets that you think are reasonable, and it's not working out, then given a large enough data set, hundreds of trades that say that that's not working, then that's probably a time to look for something else.
And another big thing for me along those lines, and it may be for a lot of other people here too, is doing it in sim is just not the same as doing it for real money. So, I know that, and Thor has said, my curve looks like I'll go a couple of weeks with those small gains and then give it all back in one day. And he said, well, that's because you're not following your rules. You're just doing whatever you want, and that's what's going to happen. And that the only I want to give it some time, trading for real, because I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to judge how well I can stick to the rules. Doing it in sim's just not the same.
I felt the same way. That probably depends on mentality, but I think for the most part, for most people, for 8 out of 10 people, that sim is not. You're not going to be able to treat it like, probably more like 9 out of 10 people. You're not going to really be able to treat it quite as the same as you're going to treat real money, which I think for me personally, that's why in my whole trading life I only did 3 months of sim, and then I was like, I'm treating this like a video game, and it's not real, and so I went to risking to $20 per trade, and my account was nice and big. Like it's at $20 risk per trade. I was like, I can't damage myself too much, but but for a while I still treated it like a video game, just losing my real $20 all the time. But I had to start risking real money. I had to kind of peeve myself off on that aspect, and I don't care how much money you have in life. It sucks to lose $40 or $60. You're like, that's 3 months of Netflix. What the fuck am I doing? So it's it had to kind of feel real. So that was the right thing for me. But you look at Eamon, that guy did like 10 months of sim trading, I think, maybe more. That number sticks out of my head, but he sim traded for a long time before he ever risked any money. And he's a younger man.
He was talking about that this morning, where he, after a while, he was doing 1 day sim, 1 day live, 2 days live, 1 day sim.
Yeah. Younger man than I am, and at an earlier part in his life where money should always be important to you, but I had, I just started trading later in life, and so I was playing with a little bit of comfort money, I guess, let's put it that way. So, but yeah, maybe, I can't speak for Eamon, but he might have been in a position where he's like, I'm starting out in life, I can't be, pissing money away. So like he really committed to a long sim period, and obviously paid off pretty well for him. And he took it ridiculously seriously. Like he's a disciplined human being for sure, in many aspects of his life, whether it's his studies or fitness and things like that. So he's a lucky guy.
Well, thanks again. It's been a great experience. Like I said, getting COVID didn't help. I got myself in a hole, and then I spent too much time trying to get out of the hole instead of, sticking to my rules and developing my strategy like I should. But if anybody asks me in the future about what I think of the boot camp, my response is going to be, you'll get out of it what you put into it. And that you can't ask any more than that.
That's it.
So,
That's everything. I've been afforded a lot of opportunities in my life, especially I was in the Army for 21 years, and the Army gave me a lot of opportunities for education, and some of them I took seriously, and honestly, there were a couple of them I really did not. And when those things ended, I looked back at the weeks or months that I was in whatever program that was, and I was like, why did I not use this for what it was, it's totally true. And as with all things in life, it's what you get out what you put in. That's a good point, Dwayne. Yeah, for sure. So with that, in regard to that, if you haven't gotten out what you wanted to get out of it, hit me up for that, that extension on the website, and that material's there, and there's no reason you can't go back and catch classes you missed and revisit things and things like that. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to shut this down and go make my kid dinner before he gets home. And thank you once again. You guys are an awesome group. And this meeting just proves more what a fun, smart group this was. I really appreciate everyone's efforts and everyone's professionalism and everything. It was great.
Thank you, John. Thanks for all your help.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Monday.
Bye.
Thank
See
you.
everyone
See you later.
Monday night.
Yes.
All right, guys. See you Monday night.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.